we continue our series looking at the states of the franchise, this time for the Washington Nationals. Let's get into it. What's going on, baseball fans? Jeremy Laracuente here for the Baseball Banter Broadcast, and as I said in the open, we continue our State of the Franchise series looking at the Washington Nationals. Now, when we look at the Nationals, they're in a very tough division, and it's going to take a lot for them to be able to overcome the other teams ahead of them, in my opinion. But let's get into some of the acquisitions that were made by the Washington Nationals. Some of the players that the Nationals will bring in: Cesar Hernandez, D. Gordon, Maikel Franco, Anibal Sanchez. They brought back Sean Doolittle, and most notably, in my opinion, bringing in Nelson Cruz. With the Universal DH now applying to the National League, the Nationals really made a big stand, in my opinion, by bringing in one of the best designated hitters of all time, in my opinion. Now, when we look at what these acquisitions will mean for the Nationals, I don't necessarily know that they will mean a whole lot. I think that this team, as I have predicted in our National League East prediction video, that they're going to likely finish fourth in the division, and that still hasn't changed. Even with these acquisitions, I don't know that there's enough firepower in the rotation or offensively throughout the course of this lineup for the Nationals to be able to supersede the rest of the division and come out on top. Now, one note to make mention of here: Mr. National himself, the first ever overall pick by the Washington Nationals, Ryan Zimmerman, has retired. So congratulations to Ryan on a very well played career. Now, as we look at the X factor for the 2022 Washington Nationals, obviously it is Juan Soto. This is arguably one of the best and greatest players we've ever seen in Major League Baseball, and he continues to get better. The modern day Ted Williams has an eye at the plate that rivals any other across Major League Baseball history. I think when we look at what Juan Soto can, this is an MVP caliber player and someone who could perennially compete for that award each and every single season, despite how his team plays. But as we jump into the state of the pitching for this team, there's a lot to be desired. When it comes to the letter grading for this Washington Nationals pitching staff, I would have to give it a D grade. I think that there's a lot to be desired and not a lot to expect and be hopeful for if you're a fan of the Washington Nationals pitching staff. Steven Strasburg is hurt and seems like he's hurt perennially. And to me, without Steven Strasburg, this pitching staff really falters. Yes, Patrick Corbin was a very large acquisition that they made not that long ago, but I don't necessarily see him as the ace that his contract projected him to be. I think that without Strasburg in this rotation, there really is no back end of the bullpen. Even though Sean Doolittle was brought back, Steve Cishek is in this bullpen as well, but I don't think that there's enough firepower with those two arms alone to allow the Nationals to truly compete in this National League East. As we look at the state of the offense, it has a grading for me of a C at best. Yes, Nelson Cruz is one of the greatest DHs of all time, in my opinion. Juan Soto is going to go down as one of the greatest players in the history of Major League Baseball. But beyond that, there's a lot of question marks and unproven talent. Josh Bell, to me, is going to be the third best offensive player in this lineup, but beyond that, there's really going to be a lot of mixing and matching and interchangeable parts that don't seem to me like they're going to absolutely be a difference maker for this team in 2022. Is there an opportunity that if all these players on the Nationals roster have career years that they could surprise some people? Absolutely. But I don't think that they're really going to be able to have those kind of breakout seasons that they need to get to the top of this division. So as we make our final grading here and look at the state of the franchise, this is going to be a C- franchise at best. I think that they're in the midst of a rebuilding type of season, and they need to try to maximize the value that they have with some of the players who get off to good starts by trading them off at the deadline and trying to retool and recalibrate going into another run in a couple of seasons. I don't think that there's going to truly be an opportunity for the Nationals to compete while still having Juan Soto in the mix. I think that when we look at what they're going to be at the trading deadline, there's no doubt Nelson Cruz gets traded, Josh Bell likely gets moved, and so does Cesar Hernandez. I also think that there's a very good possibility that we see Juan Soto traded off of the Washington Nationals franchise. Probably not this season, but maybe next offseason or next year's trading deadline. That may seem like a bold claim, but I have an even bolder one. When it comes to this team going into 2022, I believe that Nelson Cruz will have 40 plus home runs for the 2022 campaign. Despite being another year older, this is still the ageless wonder, and the boomstick is going to bring a heavy bat for the Washington Nationals. And somebody else, because I guarantee he's traded at the deadline. But I want to hear from you guys. Let me know your feelings on the Washington Nationals in 2022. What do you think that they truly have in terms of their roster, their pitching staff, offensively? Let me know all of your thoughts on this down in the comment section below. To keep the conversation rolling, find me over on Twitter at JLaracuente19. As always, keep it locked into the entire JLMG family with We Sibs, the Granite Geek Show, and of course here on the Baseball Banter Broadcast. For sticking around all the way to the end, head over to baseballbanterbroadcast.com, our merchandise shop. Use the promo code BANTER to save 5% off your order. Keep it locked in as we continue looking at the states of the franchise across Major League Baseball, and as I continue to bring you the latest news, notes, and my personal thoughts, theories, and opinions on the game of Major League Baseball. Peace.